Hi students and learning coaches, welcome to Literature and Comprehension. Today we're going to be working in Unit 22. Unit 22 is entitled 3. There are 4 lessons that we're going to go over. Learning coaches, you may choose to do all 4 lessons in one day, or you may choose to break it up and do 1 or 2 lessons over a couple of days' time. It's whatever you feel is best for your student. We're going to open up Lesson 1. It's entitled Your Choice. Once again, Unit 22 is entitled 3. In this unit, students will explore the theme of 3 through the following reading selections: the 3 bears, the 3 billy goats gruff, and the 3 little pigs. During our lessons, we're going to be doing the 3 bears. Lesson 1 is considered your choice. This is a your choice lesson, and you can use this time to do anything on this list. You can catch up, you can go back to previous lessons, you can practice some skills that your student is having a difficult time with, or you can get ahead in this course or another course. It is your choice. But don't forget to go to the next screen and mark this lesson complete once you have finished the activities with your student. So you will go right here and mark this lesson complete. We're going to close out Lesson 1 in Unit 22, and we're going to move on to Lesson 2. Lesson 2 is entitled Introduce the 3 Bears. And for this lesson, you're going to need the following materials. You're going to need your Language Arts lesson guide. I am going to be using the online lesson guide, but you may choose to use the book, and we will begin on page 451. And you will also need the K-12 Read Aloud Treasury, which is where our story, The 3 Bears, is going to be located. So you can take a couple of moments now to go and get those supplies, and then we will get started with our lesson. Okay, now that you have your supplies, we will get started. In Lesson 2, there's a couple of activities that we're going to do. We're going to do a get ready activity where we're going to review sequence. We're going to look at the new words that you need to know in the story, The 3 Bears. In our read aloud activity, we're going to do a book walk where we look through the story and look at the table of contents and the title of the story. Learning coaches, you will be reading the story, The 3 Bears, to your students. And then our last activity that we will do will be your check your reading activity, where learning coaches, you will be asking your students some questions about the story to check their comprehension. Okay, students, we want to first begin with reviewing what the word sequence means. The word sequence means order. We're going to look at a story about sequence. I'm going to ask you some questions. The order in which things happen in a story or an article is called the sequence. Words like first, next, before, after, then, and finally help tell the sequence or the order in which things happen in a story. So I want you to listen to my story, and then I'm going to ask you some questions about it. It was a rainy day. First, Pedro put on his boots. Then he put on his coat and gloves, and next he grabbed his umbrella. Finally, he went outside. It was cold. I'm going to ask you some questions. I want you to tell your learning coach the answer. What happened first? If you told your learning coach Pedro put on his boots, you would be correct. And if we went back to our story and we look for that word first, here it is right here, first, Pedro put on his boots. Our next question is, what happened last? Tell your learning coach what happened last in the story. If you tell your learning coach that Pedro went outside, you are correct. If you look up here and I look for that word finally, this lets me know that I'm about to read what happened last. Finally, he went outside. That is what happened last in our story. All right, now we're going to look at the words, new words that you may be seeing in the story, The 3 Bears. The first word that you need to know is the word peep, which means to look at quickly or to glance. Like your mom might say, you may take a peep at your birthday cake, but you can't eat it. Means she's going to let you look at it really quickly, but you have to wait. The next word is porridge. Porridge is a hot breakfast food similar to oatmeal. So if you like to eat oatmeal, then you might enjoy eating some porridge. So as your learning coach reads you the story, I want you to listen out for the words peep and porridge. All right, now we are going to take a book walk through our story and through the table of contents. So you need your Read Aloud Treasury book. And we're going to look at the table of contents. And we're going to locate the story, The Three Bears. So if I look here, this is the table of contents. It tells me all the stories that are in this book. And I am looking for the story, The Three Bears. So if I run my finger down here, I find the story, The Three Bears. Tell your learning coach what page it starts on. It starts on page 150. And students, put your finger on the title of the story. The title is The Three Bears. That is the story that your learning coach is going to be reading to you today. Now I have some questions I want you to think about. So we're going to turn to page 150 and look at the pictures. And then I'm going to ask you some questions. I have some questions I want you to think about. So we can turn to page 150. Let me show you what the story looks like. Here's the story of The Three Bears. I want you to take a look at the pictures. Tell your learning coach what you see in the picture. Okay, students, looking at those pictures, where do you think the story takes place? What do you think might happen in the story? Make a guess or a prediction. And then think about this question. Did you ever get caught using something that didn't belong to you? Those are some questions I want you to think about as your learning coach is reading the story. Okay, learning coaches, now it's time to read the story, The Three Bears, to your students. Students, I want you to sit next to your learning coach so that you can see the pictures and the words while your learning coach reads the story aloud. Learning coaches, please point out the new words that they need to know as you come to them. So I'm going to pause and give you a moment to read the story, and then we'll come back and we'll ask some questions about the story. Learning coaches, after you have read the story to your student, you may want to ask your students to retell The Three Bears in their own words. This skill is great to develop grammar, vocabulary, comprehension, and fluency skills. So give them a chance to retell the story. So I'll pause for just a moment for them to retell the story to you. Now that your student has retold the story to you, I want to ask you some questions about the story. First question, what happens right before Goldilocks arrives at the Three Bears' house? Tell your learning coach the answer to that question. If you told your learning coach the bears go out to let their porridge cool off, you would be correct. Next question, when Goldilocks is in the house, what does she do first? Think about the story. What did Goldilocks do first? If you told your learning coach she tasted the bowls of porridge until she found one that was just right, you would be correct. Next question, what does Goldilocks do next? Tell your learning coach, what does she do next after she tastes the bowls of porridge? If you told your learning coach that she sits on the chairs until she finds the one that is just right, you would be correct. But students, what happened to Baby Bear's chair? Tell your learning coach, what happened to Baby Bear's chair? She broke it, or she breaks it. That is correct. Next question, what does Goldilocks do after she breaks the chair? Think about the story. What did she do after she broke the chair? Tell your learning coach the answer. She goes upstairs, she tries out the bed, and then she falls asleep. Next question, what do the bears do when they return home? What do the bears do? Yes, tell your learning coach. They see that someone has eaten their porridge. They see that someone has sat in the chairs. They go upstairs and check their beds. Next question, when does Goldilocks wake up? Think about, when does she wake up? Tell your learning coach the answer. Yes, after she hears Baby Bear's voice, she wakes up. And then what is the last thing that happens in the story? Tell your learning coach, what was the last thing that happened in the story? If you told your learning coach that Goldilocks ran out the door and into the woods, you would be correct. Boys and girls, that is the end of Lesson 2. Thank you so much for participating with me today. We will continue with Lesson 3 and 4 in our next video.